Good morning, traders, and welcome to the Bookmap live trading webinar with Scott Pulcini. All right, so it's Thursday, so Scott's on. He's going to go over futures live here in Bookmap and look at the futures markets and take live positions. All right, so a little bit of a description about this room and what we do. For those of you who are new in here, this is the advanced education. It typically has been with the Global Plus subscribers only. We've over the holidays opened up our Discord chat room, and we've been offering it for free, trying things out, testing things out, and we've continued so far. It's going well. I kind of like the engagement here, so we've continued with it. Let me just talk a little bit about the education that you get with Bookmap. So when you subscribe to Bookmap, you get access to the educational course. It's online. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it, please. I highly suggest it because we go through the same concepts in here all the time. Instead of trying to answer your questions or be confused about what we're covering, get the answer from the course. Watch the course. It provides the foundation. Then we have the daily advanced webinars that are in here 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, and we go over that course content but in the live market. So you can apply directly what you've learned from the course in the live market. It's a very good way of learning order flow and trading. We always got the suggestion though, like, well, why don't you talk more about trading strategies and trade management? Well, we do. However, we decided to contact a few different traders. We have day trader, a stocks trader, Scott Pulcini, a futures trader. They will take live positions. They will go through their very specific ways of trading. Okay, Bookmap is not a trading strategy, it is a platform. Each individual trader has their own way of trading, so we're offering everything here in the education when you subscribe to Bookmap, and pretty nice offering. I challenge you, go out there and take a look around and see if anyone else is offering anything like this, and I have not seen it, especially for free. If they do offer education, it's likely going to cost you hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars, and they're not going to spend time with you like this. It will not be, it'll be, documents that are static, and it's like, yeah, here's your trading strategies with a slew of PDFs or something. Right, so I think it's pretty unique. I think it's pretty robust in here from what I've seen out there on the web. All right, so let's talk about Scott, he'll be taking these live positions. You guys know who he is. If you don't, ask, because he's got a great backstory here, now trading futures back again after trading, like, what was it, 10% of the S&P E-mini, about 20 years ago. Anyway, he's got huge depth and experience in trading here. We're very pleased to have him here. He does offer mentoring services, so if you're interested in that, I have the contact information here. I will be placing this into the Bookmap chat in this advanced webinar chat and go in Discord. All right, so you have his email, his Twitter, his website, his trading room. He does have a trading room. He offers educational courses on the Bookmap marketplace that provides the foundation for what he's going to cover today. He also has a trade copier service. You'll have to ask him for that, and you've got his email here. All right, so we got to go through the disclosures, and then let me turn it over to Scott. This is important though, so please listen. The disclosures, what you're getting involved into here. This is not a trade copier service room. It is to learn from the trader their specific ways of looking at the market and watching it play out. All right, so this is only for educational purposes. So all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment nor advice nor recommendations. Live trading is in simulation, demo, paper trading mode, and strictly for educational purposes. Live trading executed in simulation cannot accurately represent realistic trading performance. The risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. An investor could potentially lose all or more than the initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, with that said, take it away, Scott. And I think you're in here, right? Yes, I see you in there.
You hear me?
Yes. So I'm going to take my screen off, and then I'm going to share your screen as well. So the reason being here, let me just get this in, Scott, when you share your screen. I'm going to rebroadcast it so that, hold on a minute here. Let me get access to it. Yikes. Hold on, guys. I'm still kind of all thumbs here. Shoot. Why isn't it showing up here? Hold on. Oh, I got it. I got it. Okay.
NQ ICE iceberg sell NQ 153 contracts.
Hold on. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I've got this, almost got this down.
Don't worry, the markets will wait.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Okay. All right. So now you've got, you should see two broadcasts now. So what this means is if you don't see, if you can't access Scott's streaming screen there, you can access mine. It should be exactly the same here. All right. So that way, you know, there's a limit on how many, you know, Discord offers here. But now we've doubled that since I'm rebroadcasting it. All right. Thanks, Scott. Thanks for the patience.
No problem.
How are you feeling?
Much better. I actually even went and worked out this morning, so that's
Wow.
got my wind back.
Excellent.
So it's huge.
Excellent.
All right, so I'm currently short Nasdaq, and I may add to this depending on this new setup right here. We'll go over all this here in a second. I just want to get the stop in. So I'm going to trail the stop based on this new setup on this short. ATR is currently 25 points. So I'm going to stop out 3/4 of an ATR above this zone, which puts me at about 1875, 19 points above here. So I will stop out. If it goes, let's see, we're at 0850. So what's that? 27.5. So I will get out at 27.5 for a small winner, or I will add to this trade, and we'll go over what I'm doing here. So I probably want to add to this trade aggressively, and we'll go over why. So there's two ways to play these zones. We talk about it all the time. You know, you play, actually, stop talking and put the trade on first. So what did I say? 19 points was an ATR. So what we got here? 15,901 basically. That's right about there. I'm just adding to this trade here, possibly. If this comes back down here, I will add another position based on the setup. So I'm going to go over all this. I just want to get this situated because Nasdaq's obviously a little volatile, so I want to make sure I'm trading this correctly. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'll just put on one there. We'll go over why, but this is my first target. Again, we'll go over why, but this is close to, I use these Ludwig Levels. They're extremely powerful. I've just started recently using them in a whole nother context. Again, we'll go over that too. But anyway, my first target here is the yellow lug. This is what she calls a directional lug. So I want to see, this should make it down to this. This is my first target. But that's why I'm not adding a ton. I'm not adding full size here, just because this could easily bounce off here. So the risk reward to add to this trade on this new setup isn't worth it, in my opinion. So I just put on one more. But I'm going to watch very intently as we come down to this yellow lug at 66.75. We're almost there right now. You can see I already have my order in there. It's a little bit above there. So we'll see if I can fill on that. I have 3 on now, so I got to cover this. The other market I'm short is ES. Just purely based on the setup. There was, as you can see here, sell ice. It's this zone here. Never got an ATR above here. I entered this aggressively. Again, there's 2 ways to enter these trades. There's 2 ways I enter these trades. One, it's aggressively a half ATR. I go 3/4 of an ATR out of the zone. You can go half too, but many times you get ticked to the exact tick. These algos like just know the half ATR and then they'll run it back in your face. So I go 3/4 of an ATR. So ATR at the time was 4, so 3 points below the zone, I just shorted it. And I'm going to show you why I was aggressive with this. The other way to play this is wait for a full ATR, wait for retest, wait for failure. The problem with this is about...
S&P ICE iceberg by ES, 911 contracts.
Actually, I'm getting out of half of these right here.
S&P ICE iceberg by ES, 701 contracts.
This is the yellow lug. Hold on one second.
S&P stock sell ES, 829 contracts.
All right, a lot going on here. I just got filled on that on one of these. I'm going to take off one more actually. So I still have one on. We'll go over all the lug stuff here and what my decision was to be aggressive and everything else here. And then I got a little video that I'm going to share with you guys that you can watch. Very, very informative. I had a one-on-one with Pamela Ludwig last May, and I was not using these properly for the last about 8 months. I was just using them as basic support and resistance, as you've seen on my prior webinars. But there's a whole nother world when you can kind of judge what happened, what didn't happen, and that is what correlates to me being aggressive or not out of my zones. I mean, the main driver of my trading is obviously this, but when you can gauge on what's happening with the lugs and come up with a thesis, it's deadly. So again, we'll go over all that. I'm just trying to get situated here. So I got out of half my position in ES here because this is the yellow lug for ES. And we can easily bounce off here, as you see. So I'll cover half of these. There's actually a new setup, so I'll get out of the whole thing if this setup turns bullish, and I'll probably turn around and go long. So let's see here. You can see this is what we call a double whammy, I believe. This is threshold 1200 buy ice with 800 sell stops. So this is a double whammy. So this, in essence, is automatically a bullish setup, right? You have the dumb money puke, the stop runs, the retail trader puke into the waiting hands of the smart money. So that's this. So I will cover this entire trade here if this gets a 3/4 of an ATR above here, and then I'll probably turn around and flip it. So let's see here. Let's get the zone drawn. Again, I use dark blue usually for the double whammies. Again, I have, well, this is now 6. We've added 6 distinct setups. That's what I trade off the SI indicator. There's a course on my website. You can get it. It's well worth the cost. I don't think it costs a lot at all comparatively to these other educators. They're charging $5,000, $10,000 for nonsense. But anyway, it gives you a foundation of understanding how to trade these zones. So what I'm going to do here, if this breaks, I'm going to short this thing, and I'm going to short it aggressively because we'll be below the yellow lug, as she calls the directional line. We'll go over a little bit, and once this settles down a little bit, we'll go over the theories behind the lugs. But if this pops up here, 3/4 of an ATR, then I'm going to just cover this trade, and I'm going to I'll wait for a retest for that zone, and we'll go over that too. So 4.22 is the ATR, so 3/4 of that, we'll just say 3 points. So I will be out of this trade. If this trade's 23.25, I am out of this trade, and that's actually right above the spot candle level, which I'm fine with. So that'll basically be a scratch because I got in at 24, so it'll be a small profit. If this breaks, there's one of two ways you can trade this. Aggressively, 3/4 of an ATR, half ATR, or wait for the full ATR retest. I'll wait for the retest just because we're many times these markets dance around the yellow lug. So it's really aggressive to get short there, but see now we're down here. I can totally see this bouncing and coming back. If it does that, then I will short it. If not, I still have something on, and I'm not going to be complaining the whole webinar that I don't have anything on. So that was the whole point. I got out half at the yellow lug. We have a new setup here. This goes 4.25 points below here. Retest fail. I will add to this trade as a brand new trade, and the stop will go in the same exact spot that my stop's currently. So the bottom of this zone is 47.17 3/4. So we need 4.25 points below here. That's the 5-minute ATR, actually 4.5 now. So we need to go to 13.75. 13/4 would be a full ATR. So I need to see that 13/4. Then I need to see a retest. Then I need to see a failure, and I will add a brand new trade on short, full size. It has nothing to do with this trade here. This trade's already on. So my ultimate goal, if this can't hold this yellow lug and can't pop back above it, these are the two areas. Obviously this isn't much of a profit, but you got to watch this. This is one of the I call baby lug, but the main target is, she calls these the majors. So this is big blue and big red. These are the main drivers of the lugs as far as targets. You can see right here, this is exactly where we touched. I got a buy-in signal, and we'll go over this a little more in depth, and that's where I shorted. And now I got out of some here. It actually blew right through there. I'm going to get out of one here because I'm expecting this to bounce off the baby lug and come back and retest the zone. Hold on a second. Again, if it doesn't, then it doesn't. Sometimes, 80% of the time, it will retest it. If this just keeps going, yeah, I got a whopping one lot on, but it's still a decent profit. And actually, might not want to ignore my Nasdaq trade. So this is still rolling. Kind of wish I would have put on full size on that second setup. All right, so the blue lug here in Nasdaq is way down here, right? So now that we have got through the directional yellow, I am taking shorts, and I'll take them aggressively. I'll add to this trade, and this is my ultimate goal. And I know you guys are like, what the, that's like, what's the price? 15,747. That's another 100 points down. Trust me, we've caught multiple of these in my trade room in the last few days, where it just is such a mental, can't think of the word, but where you're not like panicking, like, oh my God, should I get out of here? I don't want to give this back, blah, blah, blah. Once you learn how these Ludwig levels should perform, and then you use it with your volume setups, you sit in the trade unless I get something bullish come in on the SI indicator to get me out of this trade. I will sit in this trade, and you will be amazed. This thing will probably go right to this lug, and then I'll turn around and possibly flip it. So again, let's, if I get something bullish, I will get out of this. If not, I'm holding it and possibly adding. So let's go back to the beginning now. This is going to slow down. Let's see what's happening here. If we got an ATR. Okay, so here's the routine, right? This is 80% of the time. ATR, waiting for a retest, wait for a fail. I will add a brand new position on here to my whopping one lot. So when you're looking for a retest, you want to see a retest of the zone, the bottom of the zone. Keep flipping colors here. But, if you get with one or two ticks, you can still consider that a retest. Don't pass on the trade if it only gets to within 2 ticks and starts to run away from you, right? So we'll give this a second. That did not get within 2 ticks, so we'll see if this retests. But you can see where we bounced, and this is exactly why I got out of another one down there. We bounced off the baby lug. Right there. I'm telling you guys, these things are absolutely incredible when you can understand what it should do, what it shouldn't do, and then use them for targets, and then you layer in the most important factor, which is the real-time volume, the Bookmap SI indicator volume. I mean, it is just, it's deadly. So anyway, we bounced off here, and I'm looking for that retest of that zone. It might even actually get up to this yellow lug, which is still going to be part of that zone. And then I'm looking for that, and then I'm looking for this. So this is what I mean about understanding the lugs and what should happen, what shouldn't happen, right? So right now, because we just blew right through this yellow lug, again, the yellow is the directional, right? So in general terms, above the yellow, you want to be looking for longs. Below the yellow, you want to be looking for shorts. So what should happen here? Well, this blew through here. This should probably dance around, and it should get now to this slug. If something bullish comes in on the real-time volume, that's telling me something's wrong, right? And now that's going to form my next thesis for my next trade. So if I see something, if I hear big buy eyes come in here, and this thing rips back above the yellow, then I'm going to turn around and go long, because there should be no bullish setups as far as what is happening with these lugs. This should make it right down to here. If there's a bullish setup, that tells me, okay, something's wrong. Get ready to go the other way, right? So that is what I've been missing in these lugs for the last, we call them lugs because I don't want to say Ludwig Levels 45 times in a webinar, so we call them lugs, right? So the way you've seen these in every webinar I've done, but the way we've used these, and it's still very powerful, is playing the reds and the blues, especially when you get extreme standard deviation of VWAP, right? Like this one down here was, here's VWAP, it popped below there and drew new lugs, but it held and then went. I was using it in the most basic sense, and then I went back and I watched, I had a one-on-one with Pamela Ludwig where she started to explain like how she trades these. And again, she didn't have the Bookmap volume. Now she's in my room and she's incorporating the volume, I'm assuming, and she watches all the webinars, so I'm hoping she does. But she was just trading these based on, again, what should happen, what shouldn't happen, things like this. So if like for instance, like we came up here and we built new lugs, right? We broke through the red and built new lugs. Well, that's bullish as long as it holds the directional. So the way you can look at this is, so say if you're trading this, I think this was overnight, but yeah, it was overnight. So say you're trading this and you see new lugs built and you get your SI indicator set up right here, that's bullish, that's go time, and here's your target. Boom. That's a 16-point trade right there. But what I did, and we'll go over this, we came up here, there was that ice, I already showed you that. We tagged the red lug, we got back below that ice. I was aggressive because I know how powerful these are for support resistance until they break, and this one didn't, and we broke below the real-time setup, and that's why I got short, right? So what I'm going to do here is I have this webinar, let's see. You guys can go in and watch this webinar. It is absolutely, it's not technical at all. I'm not a technical trader. I keep it as simple, dumb, simple, stupid as possible, right? That's my whole, again, when I made hold on one second. When I made the millions of dollars, all I did was trade off of this. It doesn't get much simpler. So here's your retest of the zone, by the way. So now I'm going to go three points below here, and I will add to this trade, brand new position. So we're going to go 1375. I'm sorry, 1475. That's 3 points. That's about it, 3/4 of an ATR. And then I will add to that trade, and I'm looking for 02 or 03, wherever that blue lug was. Hold on a second here. All right. So anyway, when I went back and watched the video on Sunday, I was like, what have I been doing for the last 8 months? Like, yes, these are incredibly powerful, just plain support and resistance. But what we talk about on the webinar is what should happen, what shouldn't happen. If you don't see something happen, then it's a trade the other way, so on and so forth. So you can imagine, like when you watch a video, you're going to see like how powerful it is, and then when you can add in your Bookmap setups, so for instance, like this should have busted through, it didn't. You get a Bookmap setup, it is just absolutely the most powerful thing I've ever seen. So what I'm going to do here is I will post this in the, I think this is the right room. You guys should have access to that. Watch it, learn it, And then if you go to her website, she offers a 3-day trial for the Ludwig Levels. Just put in there, you'll remember the webinar, and I think she's offering something. I got filled on this new position, by the way, so I'm going to increase my stops. Actually, that's fine. I'm all over the place here. What's going on? Anyway, go to her website, put in, there's a free 3-day trial. There's a little note box below there, say you remember the webinar, and she's offering something. If you remember my room, there's a lot more perks for the Ludwig Levels, but if you're not going to be part of my room, you can still get them and get some kind of deals. So once you watch the webinar, you're going to see what I'm talking about. It's pretty damn incredible. All right, so now we are short this, and hoping we can get through this baby lug, and this is my target, 0350. Again, if something bullish comes in, I'm changing my tune. With bullish meaning, this is the advantage, right? People that trade lugs, they're just sitting here hoping it busts through here and gets down here. Well, with my knowledge and the information, the incredible information you have with the SI indicator, if you see buy ice coming right here, you're like, okay, that's not right. There should not be any buy ice. This thing should shoot right down to here. Okay, now I'm ready to change my tune, especially if it gets back above the yellow, then we're probably coming back here. Right, so that's what I mean by what should happen, what shouldn't happen. As of right now, this should still make it down to here. We haven't heard anything. I'm fine with sitting in the trade, and this is what helps you sit in the trade. You're like, okay, I'm not hearing anything. We're below the yellow. We blew right through it. I'm expecting this. They can algo me for 2 hours. I don't care. I'm expecting this. Unless we get a real-time volume setup, which is the most important thing, then you get out of the trade and possibly flip. So we're in that.
Yeah, that's just to interrupt you for a moment. Just the bigger picture here. This is the way that you're trading, and very simply, I mean, it's just we talk about it in the daily advanced webinars all the time. Look at your higher time frame levels, and then look at the real-time volume and the order flow context to give you insight to the potential, high probability move.
Right, exactly. I use Ludwig Levels. I use the most minimal stuff that you can possibly use, right? I don't have 45 lines on my chart, as you guys have always heard. I use basic stuff. I use VWAP, extreme standard deviation of VWAP. They call the daily value area. I look at that, pay attention to that. Ludwig Levels, which are the second most powerful thing I've seen next to Bookmap, and basically market profile. I'll keep an eye on the composites, meaning when areas are overlapping, days overlap, then I'll draw these zones that you see here. So this paints a picture too, right? So what happened in the morning here? Well, this was a prior. Let's see what this is quickly. Just giving you guys different examples, of things you can incorporate in your trading. So this was back. What day was this? 12/20. No, sorry, a little bit before there. So this is multiple days that basically merge. Again, if days overlap, kind of like this one, so say this one forms in this value area, which is 70% of the trade, overlaps the prior, then I'll merge them and I draw a composite, right? So the point is, what story did this tell you today? Well, we tried to bust out of here, did not. We got a volume signal in the SI back inside here. So even if you're not using your Ludwig Levels, you could have said, okay, what should have happened? This should have launched out of here and gone. I should not have seen any bearish signals. Instead,
NQ stock by NQ 153 contracts.
Now this is going to allow me to either add to this trade or get out, because it's again, this is the main drive. This is the most important thing, the real-time volume. So you can see here 155, that's adequate. I use 150 now as my threshold. If you guys bought my course, I have it at like 120. I changed it to 150. 120 is too low. And then you also have to judge too. Again, if you see 200 fire off 12 times in a day, you need to up your threshold for the day. That's just trading, right? I mean, the thresholds are good 90% of the time, but there's some days, just like some days are more volatile than others, there's some days these thresholds, you need to use some common sense and say, you know what, I'm not going to trade 150 today. I've seen 214 times. I'm up in my threshold for the day, right? You got to use some judgment. All right, so there's our zone. ATR is 26 points. So I'm going to get out of this at 3/4 of an ATR. So that's 13 and a half with 13, so about 20 points. So I'm going to stop out of this at 93.75 if this pops back up here, and then I will reassess. I'm not going to go long aggressively on this trade if I get stopped out based on this setup. I will go long if it does this, right? So again, aggressively is 3/4 of an ATR, get in. Conservative is wait for a full ATR, which is again 26 points, wait for your retest, wait for your fail, and then get in. That's what I'll do. If I get stopped out, I'll wait for a full ATR retest, and then I will flip and go long. Why? Because of the story this is telling me right now. Remember, the yellow lugs are the directional lugs, right? So meaning you want to be leaning long above and you want to be leaning short below. So if this pops back above here, that again, these markets tend to a lot of times dance around the yellow lug too, where it's kind of whipsaw. So that's why I'll be conservative with this entry. So say it comes up and it stops me out, there's that stop run. I'll wait for a retest failure just because of where we're at. If we were at major lugs, I would get in aggressively regardless. So if we do come down here, which I think we're going to, unless something occurs, like right now, I mean, this is already ripping down. Actually, I can add to this too. Hold on a second. This is poor caddying on my part. I should have been ready to add to this. All right, so I missed the ad here. This was 63, 3/4 an ATR. What did I say was basically 20 points. So I should have been at 43, and I missed it. That's not cool. There you go. It's already 20 points in my favor. Alrighty, so I should have another 2 on based on, again, I want to be aggressive below the yellow lug, right? Because it's showing me bearish. I was going to get in here at 43 aggressively, and I'm chirping because I'm on the webinar and I missed this ad, but it's fine because I'm short the ES as well, I think, with that ad.
Soybean iceberg buys ES, 201 contracts.
All right, so let's see, that's Nasdaq again. If I get a chance, we'll check out what soybeans is doing. But why can't I find my damn ES chart? There we go. All right, so now what am I expecting? I mean, this is, guys, this is exactly what happens all day, every day in all these markets. This is absolutely perfect. It did pop above here. I'm shocked I didn't get stopped out to the tick. But so where are we at here? I may take off one just because we're still dancing at this baby lug. I'll give it a chance. This pops up a little more, I'll get out of 2 of them. Because it's just having a hard time getting through the baby lug. You don't want to see that. I mean, I'm not getting a volume signal yet. So if this comes back up here, I'll get out of 2 of these. And I'll hold 3 of them. But I'm fully expecting, unless something bullish comes in, I'm expecting this target. 3.5. This would be very nice if this can get below here. If I get another signal, I'll add. If I get another signal, I'll add. Right? All right, any questions, Bruce? I know I'm kind of all over the place, but stuff's whipping around here, so.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, like great price action here for sure. Yeah, Rabbit's asking about baby Ludwig Levels. If maybe you want to describe that again. I think it's quite cute.
Yeah, thanks. I try to use some comedy in my trading. If not, I'll be putting in a loony bin. These are the major lugs. She calls them big red, big blue. These are what I call baby lugs, and usually there's one up here too. Sometimes they overlap. So like this was a very powerful lug because you had a baby lug over on top of the red lug here. So it was like one of these. It's usually about right here, but in this instance it was up in here. So I called it the minor lug. She calls them minors. I call them babies. And then you got the majors. The majors are the red and the blue. Those are the main, and this is what I've been trading off of for months, and they're still really, really powerful, but I wasn't taking into consideration what if something didn't happen, if something did happen, to come up with a better thesis, right? And that's the key. Again, watch the video and you'll see exactly. It's very straightforward. There's nothing technical about it. I ask her very simple questions, and it is eye-opening, to put it mildly. All right. This is Actually, I should have 3 positions on, if you remember up here. So this is a month making day trade that I kind of screwed up a little bit where I should have been adding. So let's go back to the very beginning, all right? Just to show you guys. So we came up here. There's your main driver, stop run, right? Buy stops. Okay. Well, that means it's kind of fake buying, right? It's still buying, but is this a big firm or a big player getting long? No, it's someone puking out their position. That doesn't signify real buying to me, right? So we have two types. I have two setups.
By ES 701 contracts.
Come back to this because I might be out of this trade. If this, not mine, I will be out of this trade if this ends up holding. All right, so I got stopped out of that one. This baby lug is holding. You can see this buy ice coming in. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. You should not see a bullish SI indicator setup in this situation. If you do, something's amiss and it's time to start to look for longs, right? Because we should fall down to that blue lug that I showed you. So let's see what the size is here. This is not threshold is the problem. So I go 700 for ES, so I'll just continue to hold this. But today, this isn't bad. I mean, it's I usually go above, if it was like 650, 675, I would draw a zone. This is pretty low, so I'll just hold on to this and stop out of my normal spot. But if I see some big ice come in, something's wrong on the short side, I'm ready to get out of the trade and then go long. But as of right now, we're still on this. So going back to the Nasdaq, the reason I got short here, let's actually go back to the lugs, because I was already basing my thesis on what should happen, right? So we came up here, and this is what, if you watch the video, this is one of the first things she talks about, where markets should, once you get above the directional, it should tag the other lug. If it doesn't, that is telling you something right there, right? Doesn't mean it can't do this and then tag it, but that's the benefit, the power of having the real-time volume signals. So if you're just trading lugs, you're like, I don't know here. We could come back or we could sell. I don't know what to do here. Well, when you throw in the most important factor, the real-time volume, you're like, well, let's see here. We didn't get to the lug, and then looky, this is a bearish setup, a dumb and dumber, right? So this is why when you incorporate this with the lugs, it's the most powerful thing I've ever seen, right? So this is why I got short. Let's see if you can see the entry here. So that was a dumb and dumber. We even got a retest. I actually waited for a retest. I think I waited for a retest. I can't remember. You can see my original stop up here. I did an ATR above here. I can delete that. There's my, I got in here aggressively because we are so close to the red lug, you shouldn't be seeing bearish setups. I got in aggressively. That was my first entry. ES is on its way to 03. Open, as long as something doesn't come in. Then we got, this is when we were on. I did add to this, didn't I? I can't remember. This. And I added. Oh no, I got out of one. I can't remember what I just did right here. We were on the webinar, but I can't remember. So anyway, this was a brand new setup though. Look at that. I mean, look, this, guys, this is just over and over and over. Even if you're like, I don't want to be aggressive, I want to wait for a full ATR retest. Here you go, here you go, here you go. That should have been position number 2. And then you just put your stop where it is right here, right? Put it at 3/4 of an ATR above there. We went over this. I thought there was another one in here. So I should have 2 positions on. I thought there was 3 setups in here. Oh yeah, there was. So this was this one. That was a sell ice. That's why it's black. That was that. That was aggressive. It didn't retest that zone, but I already said we were blowing through the yellow lug. I want to be aggressive. So I should have had another position on there, and then you get this one, and then I should have 3 positions on instead of a whopping 1 lot. But it's still a nice trade, but this is a month make. This is what I'm talking about, guys. You wait, and you battle every day, and you break even, you lose a little, make a little, and then you catch a day like today where you just get set up, and you just keep adding and trailing your stop based on the setup, based on, if you're using the lugs and that philosophy, and then you I should have to reposition. This should be like up 10 grand right now, but it is what it is. Again, it's harder for me to keep track of everything on these webinars, but you guys get the gist of it. So still short that. So I guess is pulling its whole nonsense. So nothing is violated, right? Like, I mean, lug-wise, right? I haven't got it set up. All this is doing, this is what I mean. Like, if you understand what should happen, you're not panicking when it's just dancing around this baby lug, right? It could even come back up to this yellow lug, right? And then do that. As long as I don't get a new volume signal, they can dance all they want. If we get above here, then I'll stop out and then I'll reassess. But don't let these algos screw with your head. Especially if you're using these lugs, you're like, okay, this is where we should go. If I don't see anything, they can play games. It doesn't mean it can't do this. If it does, and then it gets above here, then I'll change my tune. I'll stop out. I'll make a little bit, change my tune. But that hasn't happened. So until you see a volume setup, you sit in this trade and let them play games and watch the flush down to there. All right. What's going on here? What's this happening? Second. Can you use the not logs? They're lugs. Just kidding. Yes, here. We'll go through all of these real quick, just so you can kind of see where we're at in each one, right? So I'll give you just a quick synopsis. Again, I've just started using these as far as thesis-wise and what should happen. So again, like watch the video and you'll understand. So here we go. That's my expectation. So anyway, we talked about it. Tag the red lug, got a volume signal, blew right through the yellow, tag the yellow. We should get here, if not lower. This could come higher, bust this and build new lugs too, and we'll judge that based on what happens with the volume down here. So that's that. We looked at MQ. Here's Russell. Same thing. What do you see here? These lugs are monstrous. Again, the longer they form, the bigger they move out of here. You can see how long these things have been going on. So what do you see here? Well, we came up, we tried to hold above here and right through it. Now this is bearish. So any bearish setup I would get in here, I would enter aggressively, meaning I wouldn't even wait for an ATR retest. I would just get in 3/4 of ATR. These are the targets: baby lug, blue lug. Crude. Same thing. What do you see here? This thing cannot hold above, she calls this the directional. Can't hold above the directional. We're back below here. If I get a short setup, I'm taking it. This is my target. Baby lug. Blue lug's the main target. You can get out of one, some of them at the babies, but the majors are big blue, big red. That's the key. Gold. What do you see here? So you had this. Try to stay above the yellow. Nope. Tried again. Nope. Got through it. Nope. Retested. Yep. And as soon as if you get a bearish signal here, it's go time. You're like blue lug. Now we got here, and what do we just do? We built new lugs. This is really important too. Again, she talks about this first thing on the webinar. When you build new lugs, the expectation is you don't want to see, so here's the yellow, here's the prior red. You don't want to see this thing get above here. If you do, something's wrong, and then you start looking for longs again. But right now, this is showing me, just based on thesis-wise, this should hold and come down to this next lug. If I get a short signal, I will be shorting this with glee, with happiness. Right? If this turns around and pops back above this prior blue and the yellow, and I get a bullish signal, I will go long with happiness. And that's my first target, or my main target, is the red lug. I'm not going to do bonds. I'm not going to do, guys, it's the same stuff with the SI setups, and it's the same stuff with the lugs. It doesn't matter what market you're trading, it's the same principles. I don't know her proprietary formula. It's incredible. I'm assuming she uses something with VWAP, market profile. I don't know all her inputs, but she's been around for like 12 years, and she's got a lot of users that are profitable. So again, profitable just using the lugs. Could you imagine how well you could do using this volume information? Like, the sky's the limit. All right, so this is what I mean about, like, how many guys just that don't have this kind of information, or like just panicked out of that, again, it doesn't mean it's not going to come back to the yellow. And if it does, something's wrong with the short, and then I'm looking for longs. But it's like it popped up. You're just like, okay, it's just dancing around the baby lug. I'm still expecting this. Again, if this pops up and I get a bullish signal, then I'll change my mind, but nothing's happened. So I'm sitting in this trade, and I'm not worried about it. I'm not watching every tick. The trade's on. Let it work. Natural gas. See here. It's just pretty incredible here. Built the lugs. Fell below the prior blue. Couldn't hold above the yellow. Boom. Test. Gone. Blue lug. It's like clockwork. Silver. Built new lugs. Held the prior red. Held the yellow. Great long. Test. Test. Tag the red. Now we're below here. Where do you think we should be going? We should be going here, right? So if you get a bearish setup, you're like, I'm in aggressively because this is where we're going because it blew right through the shelf. If you get a bullish setup and we get back above here, then you're like, something's wrong. I can't wait to go long, right? Beans, important area. So what do you see here? And this is another thing she talks about. So once we got above the directional yellow, you expect it to tag the red. This is kind of like the Nasdaq. This is the Nasdaq trade earlier. Remember, it didn't tag the red, and then I got my volume signal. I'm like, I'm short. It didn't get up here, get my bearish signal. I'm short. So this came up here and didn't tag it. Danced around. The minute this gets below this yellow, you're saying, okay, blue's my next stop because of what didn't happen up here. Do you understand what I'm saying now? Like, it's also what didn't happen, not just what happened. It didn't tag the red. Once we get below here, go time, there's your blue. Now it's kind of dancing right at this blue. We could build new lugs, and then you have a whole new thesis and setup, right? So if we build new lugs here, and you get yellow, red, blue, well, this should stay below here, and you should see a bearish setup. And if you do, then we're coming to the next lug. If for some reason you get a bullish setup and it pops up here, you're like, okay, something's wrong. This should have done this. Again, what should have happened? Now I want to get long, and then that's going to be your target. Wheat, here's a perfect example. This one already broke. The beans is about to break, right? There's your yellow. So that when you build new lugs, you're expecting that. And this is holding true. As long as it doesn't get above, I mean, it could dance around here. If you get above this blue and then get a bullish signal, then you're coming up here. But until then, you're looking for shorts. So if I get a short signal, I am in. And this is my main target. The rest of these I haven't even updated. I don't follow all these other. I got enough on my plate, especially corn. Corn's a pain in my, you know what. All right, any questions, Bruce? A lot of chirping today.
Yeah, just a minute here. Let's take a look. So the Ludwig Levels still available only on CR charts?
No, so she's actually adding them because her base is actually growing because of, you know, the exposure she's getting from me alone, I'm assuming. But she has, I use Sierra chart because guys, I'm a retail trader too. And the first thing you should be doing is cutting costs, right? You don't need to be spending $900 a month on software platforms. Why do you think I use Thinkorswim and Sierra? Thinkorswim is free if you put and it gives me the information I need, right? If you put some money in there, you can actually pull it out and you still have access to your charts. This is all I need. Why do I need more than this? Why do I need to pay anything? I don't. That's why I cut cost here. Sierra chart is $35 a month. And you need the data feed, but if you have like a Rhythmic, you have two connections you can do.
Stop sell NQ 171 contracts.
All right, now I'll come back to this here. But she has them for Ninja Trader. She has them for a couple other ones, and she's adding them. And if you want something, she's very, very accommodating. You say, hey, can we get them on this? She's in the middle of updating all this, like Sierra charts is a major pain in the ass because it's so labor intensive, so that takes a lot of her time, but she will definitely add something if you want to add it. All right, so I don't see, this is close. This is 130 stop run. 125, that's not enough for me to draw this, but you see the snakes here.
NQI Ciphered by NQ 151 contracts.
Right, here we go. Now I'm going to trail the stop minimum. And sweeps, not snakes. Bruce doesn't like when I say snakes. See how this ice is coming in here now? You shouldn't see a bullish setup if this is going to make it to the blue lug, right? If you see a bullish setup, you're like, okay, it's not making it to the blue lug, I'm going long, right? This is why the real-time volume is so important. Once again, I can add to this too. It's getting a little scary for me to add this after this kind of move, but I will. This is a double whammy, right? Actually, no, it wasn't. It was just bias. Just make this blue. All right, there you go. All right, so let's see where we are with the lugs. Oh crap, we're already down to 3 in that. Thanks for telling me, Bruce. Right off the blue lug here.
Gold stocks GC, 214 contracts.
All right, so I'm out of 2 of those just because I want to see what happens now with this lug. The lugs are that powerful, right? Man, that was quick. Do you see what I'm saying though? How you don't get scared out. You don't let the algo screw with you. It was dancing around that baby lug, and the objective was the blue lug. Here we are here too. So I'm getting out of this Nasdaq as well, and then I will reassess. So now if this turns bullish, if this turns into a bullish setup, I'm going long because we're bouncing off the blue lug. If this holds and we build new lugs, then I'm going to put on a brand new position on short. This should have been about a 15 grand trade if I added like I was supposed to. I'm not going to complain. Good trades, but all right. So now we want to see if this builds new lugs. If it doesn't build, she talks about this too on the webinar. If it doesn't, if it gets below and we don't get new lugs, that's telling you something, and we already know there's a bullish setup. Then I'll be looking for at least a move back to the yellow. So Sierra is kind of a pain in the ass, pardon my language, but you gotta kind of refresh it. Sometimes it doesn't automatically update. NinjaTrader, I guess, is perfect. So if you guys got NinjaTrader, there's no problems. They update all the time. But all right, so we still haven't drawn lugs yet. If this pops back above here, guys, this is going to be a great long, a great flip. So what do we look for? Well, did we get an ATR below this zone? The zone's 33 points. I don't think we came close to that. We might have. Let's see. Bottom of the zone is 56 quarter. Get down to 26 quarter. Yes, we did. Right, 30 points. No, 33 points. Sorry. 33 points. So I said 56. So that, what can I add? 26, 23. So we did not quite get to 23. Pretty close. So why I'm saying that is because you can either, I don't want to put on a short here until we build new lugs. But my point is, if this holds and then gets above here, then I want to go long. And it's not violating this setup. The setup the way I trade these, if we get a full ATR below here, well then this as a bullish setup is no good. See what I'm saying? Came close, we didn't get there. If we get back above here, I'm going to go long as a bounce off the blue lug. See if we built new lugs. Nothing yet. So back to this guy. I mean, do you see what I'm talking about? Like how many guys got shaken out of the, I'm sure someone on here got short with me and someone got shaken out on this, right? Oh no, we're gonna do this. And I don't blame you, right? Mentally, this thing does this nonsense all the time. It's still probably gonna do it, right? Eventually. But you understand, hey, there's no volume signals. This is where we should go. And guess what? We're right there. Looks like magic, but it's not. Again, this is all premised on my original setup way up here. So I guess it's a 34-point trade. That's pretty good in some circles. In my most hated market. I hate this market. There you go. So this is going to be telling too, if we do not build if we don't come up with new lugs here and this gets back above the blue and I get a bullish signal, I am going long. I'm getting out of this. Was there a setup down here?
Just a quick question, Scott. Following the higher time frame levels, and in this case your Ludwig levels.
Calm lugs. It's
okay.
much easier.
All right. Following your lugs, then then I'm just curious, like your exit on that, like uh, you know, looking at the order flow around that event, like the sweep below it or something like this, might be you know, something to kind of confirm that level, and if that's something that or you just exit at the level, it hits it, and like then you're out.
Again, I'm learning the best way to use these and the best way to use the zones, whether to be aggressive, not aggressive. As far as the major lugs, yes, you want to get out of the majority and just wait and see, because the thing is, look, I'll get out and you can see now these are all bouncing, right? I mean, it's incredible, right?
Right, but
So,
it does make sense. So there should be some sort of order flow event around that important level.
well, there you go. Listen to what you just said. There should be. So if there's not, what is that telling you? And again, if you watch the video, you should watch it too, Bruce, because you like to trade, obviously. This is the exact thing I talk about in the video when I was literally 3 days into using these lugs back in May. And I told her, I've noticed when we come to the major lugs, if I don't see a volume setup, that's usually an incredible fade, right? Not incredible, but that's telling you something. So if you don't see an event at a lug at an important level, that's possibly telling you something. So you can come up with strategies where you play the fade if you don't see something, right? So that's what you have to determine. But I much obviously it's way more powerful if you see a bullish setup right here, which we may still get. That's even more powerful. But there's something to be said if we do come down to a major level and you don't hear a thing, right? That's telling you, okay, well, there's really no engagement.
Well,
You know,
but you saw a sweep below it, right? Didn't you see the sweep? I'm just curious. I mean, like the sweep looks
I
like
actually
just
did
an
not see that until you just saw, but yeah, there
it
was a
just looks
sweep.
like an unbelievable way to get out. Like let them sweep
Right.
below the level, and it's like, yeah,
There you go.
okay.
Right. You can say exactly. So, I mean, I'm giving you guys like the foundation, right? You guys can come up just like you said, like you notice this sweep right here. That's almost 1,000 sweeps. Call them snakes. I call this white snake in my room. I know Bruce loves when I call them
Oh
snake.
God.
We got black mamba, we got white snake. So you can say, hey, wait a minute. Okay, here's a sweep. Remember, white is buy, black is sell in the sweep. In my sweeping, and what this is showing you is whoever is the responsive party, meaning the passive. So you can see these big red bubbles. Someone hit the market and swept, and someone took them, right? So that's why you see the white. So my point is, you may say, okay, I'm getting long on a setup, or if I see a huge sweep and it can't get below there, look at this, boom, no dice, came back almost to the exact low, gone. Right? So you guys, you have all the information, right? And you can trade this stuff any way you want to trade it. I tell you all the time, there's art and the science. The art is, do you want to trade this? How do you want to trade this? Do you want to wait for it? The art is, hey, do I want to get in a half ATR aggressively? Do I want to wait for a retest fail? That's the art. This is the science. Like there's no disputing there was 200 plus icebergs here. There was no disputing there was 750 white snakes in here. There's no disputing there was another 1,000 sweeps in here. That's not up for discussion. That's what it is. How you trade them is the art, right? So you can say, I want to see a SI setup. I don't see that. Say this didn't happen. You say, okay, wow, that's 1,000 sweeps. That should have continued lower. We're at a blue lug. We're pop back up. I'm going long. I'm going to put my stop right with those sweeps. Okay? Does that make sense, Bruce?
Yeah. I mean, it really, I mean, it's just like just as we kind of started off, like you know, here's your strategy. You got your higher time frame levels, and then look for order flow events around those levels, and that will help optimize the trading. So the event below that is, and it's a wicked event. Is a book sweep and a stop run below the lug level there, and
Lugs.
below the lugs, and you know, there it is. You know, there's your reason, and you're combining your higher time frame and your order flow or lower time frame stuff. That's all. I mean, it just like higher. It's like you say, like the real time volume is telling you so much. Therefore, there it
Well,
is.
it's the key.
Yeah.
It's what drives the markets, period. And if you can have, so once again, you guys heard me say this like 12 times in the last couple of weeks. I went the whole month of December in my room, and all I traded, regardless of where we were, regardless of structure, lugs, anytime I saw a setup, I waited for a full ATR to move away from there, and I waited for the retest and the failure, the conservative entry, right? That's all I did for 1 month, and it was profitable. It was up like 11 grand or something, and that was through December too, and I was sick for a week and a half of it. But the point is, you already have the edge. This is the edge. This stuff, what you're seeing here, is the edge. Now, when you can incorporate that with something, again, I use Ludwig Levels because they're incredible, as you're seeing. But you may say, I like to use structure, and I like to use balance areas, right? I use balance areas all the time, and I keep an eye on them, right? But I mean, like, what would have been your trade here? If you're looking at this as a bar chart reader, like, what looks so bearish here? Nothing to me. This looked like it just basically came back to the top of this balance, and then we came down to the bottom. Like, this looks pretty benign to me. I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not interested. That looks a lot different than the information we got here, right? Came up here, touched the red as resistance. We got the volume set up. It's a short, boom. We got another one. I added, and then we judged what it did at the directional. It blew right through it. It retested it, and this was the expectation. And lo and behold, boom, and then bounced right out of it. Right. So there's nothing wrong with using the. I use them all the time. I mean, you have to understand structure, but intraday stuff. If we're day traders, right? A lot of times you're not going to get sound setups, that are playable based on the higher time frame, right? So for instance, what do you see here? So this is major balance, multi-week, multi-month, right? What do we do? Broke down, retested, my volume node, and then it paused. So that's good to know, but like that's not really tradable from a day trading perspective.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, okay, I know this is a high volume node. Okay, I'm going to short right here. Where's my stop going to be? 400 points away, right? Because this is still bearish until we get above this high volume node. Okay, so you just throw on a short randomly here, and then you put your stop up here. I mean, yeah, if you trade, intraday or intra-week, then that's fine. Where you're saying, okay, I'm risking up to 16.2, and my goal is to get back down to this low. Well, then that's fine. But we're day traders, right? So this a lot of time isn't practical for entries, exits, so on and so forth. So that's why the real-time volume and then my lugs are the key.
Yeah. No, I was just curious of the exit on that. It was just like, oh, it's hitting the lug, I'm out. And
that's how powerful they are, though. I mean, because the thing is, Bruce, if it comes back down here, which it's doing right now, and this busts through, well, it's going to build new lugs, and then I can make a new determination. Okay, you got the yellow, you got your blue, like we just looked at soybeans or wheat, right? Then I'm looking for another volume event to make another decision, whether, hey, is this going to hold and do this, or is it going to make the next move to the next lug, right? So I'm perfectly fine with getting out and then waiting to see, hey, we're going to build new lugs. Hey, is a new volume setup going to come in? And then reassessing and getting back in, right?
Yeah. I just to really optimize it. Like if you saw an order flow event around it, like you really got something. Is my point. It's like looking at a candlestick. I mean, and I'm this will be my last point on it, and just move onward. I don't want to take too much of your time here, but when you look at a candlestick pattern, or like a cup and handle pattern, or a double bottom pattern, like great, but how do you know it's going to follow through? That's where the order flow can help you. Or fail. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Exactly. So
anybody who is trading without order flow does not have all the information in this order flow. I'm not talking about, so I did the webinar yesterday, the guy that, he makes money just trading Ludwig Levels. He looks at completely different things. He was saying, I don't understand Bookmap. I use the footprint and Delta and stuff like that. And that's fine. If he can make money that way, I think he can make a lot more money using Bookmap. And I was trying to push him that direction, like, hey, hey, get on my webinars, because he's friends with Pamela Ludwig. And I'm like, and you can start to learn how to really read order flow, right? Because what he was using imbalances. So here, let's see if I can give you an example, which I just don't think that is the way to look at these markets. Like, if you're making money using footprints, then you're going to make 10 times more using Bookmap, in my opinion. So I can give you an example here.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to like it's mention Bookmap in here and trying to sell the product. It's like, no, just seriously, like order flow
It's
event
nothing to
around,
sell. It is what
yeah,
it is.
order flow event
I mean,
around the level. Like use your higher time frame levels and then use order flow. You're gonna get a much higher probability outcome.
right. So here's some examples, right? Like, people, I guarantee half the people on here
size for
use
sell
this
and
stuff.
Q, 152 contracts.
Let's see what's going on here, and then we'll come back to this. All right, here's another event. It's basically smack dab in the middle of the zone. If this, see how this is 172 sell ice? If this gets above here, if this gets above here, I'll even mark this up just because this is the newest event, and we'll make it black. So got this. You can see these sweeps. These sweeps ran right into sell ice. That's important information in itself. So you got that, and then remember, you want to incorporate all the prices till it ends, till the event ends. You got that. Let's change the colors. And I use black for sell ice. All right, so now I know, what do we know here? I'm about to cover that ES just because there's nothing happening down here, and I don't need to see it come all the way back to the yellow with nothing happening. All right, so what has happened here? Now look at this. Try to break below, no new lugs. Try to break below, no new lugs. Now you have your volume event. That's what I'm expecting. I will play this aggressively out of this. If this busts above, so again, if you're just playing lugs, you're just throwing it, or any chart pattern, you're just hoping. You're like, okay, we tested, couldn't build new lugs, tested again, couldn't. All right, I'm just going to go along. Okay, that's fine, but would it behoove you to understand the volume and say, okay, I'm not going to go along right here because sell ice came in. I'm not just going to go along below this. If this gets above this, this is going to be a broken ice setup, one of my 6 setups. And that's the trade, not right here. And you don't know that if you don't understand real-time volume, the real-time volume. This is it, guys. This is the big money. The big money is what runs the show. If you know what they're doing and you know when they're right, you know when they're wrong, and you understand, again, if you're using lugs, like, okay, if this is going to hold, then we build new lugs, and I'll change my tune and I'll go short again. But I'm expecting, based on what we did at the lug 3 times, we couldn't get through it. The minute this gets above here, 3/4 of an ATR, I am in like Flynn. 34.
Yeah.
So half of 34 is 17. Half of 17 is, let's see, 8. So let's say 26 points. So 26 points above this latest zone, this sell ice, I am going long.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just I won't. I'll let this go. But just look how simple and easy a trading plan can be. Like you have your.
Let's not say easy. Nothing's easy about trading.
Okay, well,
Simple,
look at
yes.
how simple and
Simple.
straightforward it can
Exactly.
be. Like you know exactly what you're doing. You started off the webinar talking about that. Like you won't get shaken out of something because you're looking at your higher time frame. You know the behavior around there. You're looking for the order flow event around there. Now you've got something that is much higher probability.
Right. So again, this is a perfect example, guys. Right? Like, if you're just playing lugs, again, very, very powerful on their own. But what did you do? That held. You're like, I'm long. Now you're like, oh crap. This isn't. Why is this doing this? Well, if you have a real-time volume, you know exactly why it's doing this. Because sell ice came in and stopped this market cold. See the sweep? See the black mamba right there? The snake, right? Stop the market cold. That's pretty important information as far as I'm concerned. It's the information, right? So now, so first and foremost, if this gets a full ATR below here, below this latest zone, I'm canceling that long because this will negate this as a possible long setup, right? That's the way I trade it. If I get a full 5-minute ATR below the zone, it's not going to long setup anymore. As long as this doesn't go 33 points below here, actually I think it already did, so I'm about to cancel this and then I recess. Let's see. Bottom of the zone is 70. And we got down to 35. That's 35 points. That's an ATR. I'm going to cancel this. So technically you could now play this short because here's your ATR. First of all, I wouldn't be aggressive until we built new lugs. But if you got your ATR, your retest, your fail, again, half ATR, 3/4 ATR, you get in, you could short this. I don't want to do that until we build new lugs. If we build new lugs, then it's go time. And trust me, we're going to get more signals anyway. So let's see what happens here. But do you see what I'm talking about? If you're just playing lugs, you are sitting here saying, what the hell is going on? This try. Why did it do this? Oh, you know why. Because there is sell ice that stopped it cold in its tracks. Now wait, if this builds a new lug, we're coming down to the next lug. The next major lug, in my opinion. Depending, right? So if we build new lugs and then something bullish comes in, then I'll flip it. So let's wait and see here. I feel like I've been talking for like 4 hours. Same with the S. Just refresh these to see what happens. Again, Sierra chart, you got to do this sometimes. They've been working great lately, but I want to know, especially real time, like, hey, do we have new lugs yet or not? All right, nothing doing yet. So as this setup, I would not go long off of this setup, right? You could still go long off this if it gets back above here. I don't, that's not how I trade. So I need to see something new to go long. As long as these lugs hold. Oh, I thought we just built new ones. As long as these lugs hold. So again, if you watch that video, she talks about the parameters that are involved in making these. It tells you something. If this does not build new levels and they can't push through it, that is telling you something very important. And then you're expecting yellow lug and then possibly red lug, at least yellow lug, right? And so I have all that information in my head and I'm just sitting here like a sniper waiting for a volume setup. That's it. Again, simple, not easy. Nothing is easy in trading, but it's simple. And I know exactly what I want to do. I have my rules. I have my rules for my zones. I have my rules for my risk, how much I should be putting on. Again, if you remember my room, where you want to build one of these, there's your risk spreadsheet. You put in your account size. You should only be risking about 2% or less on a trade, 1.5%, 2%. And then it tells you how many contracts you can put on based on what your risk is. So for instance, that ES trade, I think I was risking maybe 11 points. So, and that's what I had on. I had a 4 lot on. If you're not following something like this, you're going to blow up your account. And I'm not even going to go on that rant like I do every week. But that right there is the most important thing you can do, period, before you even start trading and understanding this stuff. If you can't control your risk, you are going to blow out your account. It's 100%. You might get lucky a day, a week, even a month, but trust me, it'll catch up to you if you're trading too big. If you have a $10,000 account and you are trading normal size contracts, you're done. You're going to blow out your account. Trust me. Unless you get lucky and go on a run, that's too big of size to be trading with a $10,000 account. You need to trade micros. There's nothing wrong with trading micros. And if you trade micros, it helps you learn to like piece out of positions, add back. You know what I mean? You're not just one or done, one or nothing, right? So don't be like embarrassed to trade micros. Like I have one account that I trade micros on. I'm trading for another guy that I trade micros on just because the account's not big enough. Right? You can't. That's the number one thing that I can tell you. While this is just dancing around here, Bruce, do you have any idea why this Russell chart is like dimmed? I have no clue what is going on here. Why is that?
Yeah,
like that?
this is a new feature in 7.3. So in the top of your screen.
Black everything out, and just close your eyes and throw an order in.
No, it's actually a really cool feature. I really like it. I requested it some years ago, and then we've we got more requests and like it. So no, down below that, just right there is a slider right below it.
This?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
So you can,
Oh.
because, and the reason being that it's been requested recently is because we have all these new indicators on there. So if you want to see more clearly, you can just, hide the heat map very quickly.
Got it.
Or just look at, maybe certain levels of liquidity and kind of make the others transparent, more transparent.
Right. That was a simple plan. All right, I'm just going to get out of this for right now, and then I'll reassess based on lugs if we build new ones. But stuff like that, like someone in my room pointed out yesterday, I didn't have this this data tooltip. Like I had it like this, and it wasn't. He's like, if you click on that data tooltip, it'll show you the values every time you touch anything. I'm like, oh, that's good to know after 3 years. I had no idea. So, again, you continue to learn stuff about this software, but it is. I don't care if you guys think I'm selling it or not, because I mean, I'm not selling it. It has nothing to do with me, but it is the most powerful thing you can possibly have in your trading. And if you don't have it, you do not have all the information. I don't care. Oh, so back to, we'll go on a rant on this nonsense that I just think is nonsense, right? So many guys are trying to trade off of this, and they think they're seeing what they're seeing, and the footprint, right? It's like, yeah, there are instances where you want to use it and you want to see, hey, are there heavy sellers? Like, for instance, this one work where you see, guys, this is like they live or die by this. Oh, look at all the, wow, 1,100 sellers, meaning there were more hitting of bids and taking of offers, right? That is important information, and this one happened to hold, right? But what are you not seeing here, Bruce? So I'm going to put you on the spot. So if we come down and there's 1,200 sellers, okay, yeah, that's information. Someone's being aggressive. Well, what could you possibly not be seeing on the other side of this trade?
All sorts of things. I mean, like you're
Well,
not.
what's the main one? What's the main driver of my trading?
Well, yeah, the icebergs, but you're
An
just
iceberg.
you're not seeing any liquidity at all.
Right. Well, it's like, great, there's 1,200 sellers. Well, what if there's 4,000 buy icebergs in there? Or 2,000 icebergs?
Exactly.
Like, I don't give a shit. I don't swear right there. I don't care if there's 1,200 sellers. Yeah, I want to see what it does out of this area, but you're not getting all the information with this. You're just seeing one side of it. Oh, great, there's 1,200 sellers. Oh, guess what? There was all this was an iceberg, and then there was another 4,000 behind that as we moved on. Do you think that might be important information to know than just playing off a footprint? Like, this is not, again, you could glean some information off of it, and I know some of you guys are making money using it, but I'm telling you, you're not seeing the whole picture if you are just using a footprint. Or the delta, like yesterday, the guy that I had on to do the Ludwig, he used this cumulative delta, and it's just, guys, trust me, I've been doing this for 23 years. I've seen it all. I've done it all. I've tried everything. I tried footprint. I was at best, a mediocre trader when I was using this information, at best. And then the minute I was introduced to this, I knew I was back. And trust me, I am on my way back, and it's going to be glorious. But, again, you may make money with footprint. You're going to make a lot more money understanding the setups, what the aggressive selling was. Was it aggressive selling with nothing there? Was it aggressive selling into an iceberg? That is very important information. Was it aggressive selling was it a stop run? Right? This isn't telling you any of that. It's telling you there's 1,100 sellers. Okay, was that a stop run? And then it just turns around and does that? Like, this is not all the information. So just be careful using it is what I'm telling you. If you can make money with it, great, more power to you. But it's not all the information. All right, that's my one rant for the day.
Yeah. I mean, I've struggled with trying to kind of, explain that as well to people. I mean, just like the context you're seeing is only one dimensional there. And why not be able to see like the context between, the other side of the trade, and how important that is. There's a lot of people that just swear by footprint, but I don't really get it. Like if you get more information, things that you cannot see, then isn't that going to be a lot more helpful? Anyway, there's my rant for the day.
All right, so kind of dying down here. So basically, I'm just waiting for, to see what happens here. If I get another signal, bullish, I'll still go long. this could move below here and we build new lugs, then I'm going to judge based on my next volume signal. But I will be aggressive on the short side if we build new lugs and I get a bearish signal. If I get a bullish signal, a new one, because we already invalidated that last one I just drew, then I'm going to be aggressive out of that one. So we'll see. You just got to sit here. Sometimes, we're getting kind of mid-morning here, and this is what happens sometimes. So you got to, we're just kind of continue to dance around here, right? That's why I got that last one. I don't need to see this come all the way back up to here now because nothing's going on. And, this is a terrible time of day. Guys from New York start to go to lunch and stuff like that. So, but if I get again, going forward, if I get a bullish signal, I will be aggressive out of here. If this comes down, bust, and I get new lugs, and I get a bearish signal, I will be aggressive. So once again, watch the video. But here's an example of what would happen. So say we come back down here, boom, new lugs. Here's yellow. Actually, let's make the, actually I can't do multiple colors. I was going to make it more technical. So you had yellow there. It's not going to work, but so you had yellow here. Can I switch to the, and then you had red here, and then you had, let's stay on there. That's interesting. And then you had blue here. Okay, well this is, now we have new lugs. Does it mean we're coming straight here? No, I want to see now in this area, if it's able to hold this and get above here and I get a bullish signal, then we're coming to that lug. If this gets below, the new lug, or the directional lug, and I get a short signal, then I'm playing to the other lug, right? It's what should happen or doesn't. Or if this starts to run down here and I get a bullish signal, I'm like, uh-oh, something's wrong. This should have went to, like we just said for this should go down here. This would happen. But if this would have come down here and I would have seen huge buy ice, I'd be like, okay, that, because this, again, the real-time volume is the most important. I'm like, okay, that's pretty much next. This should not, I should not be seeing a bullish setup. Now I'm ready to go long. You don't even have to go long off of this one, but the minute this gets back above this yellow, then you really know we're coming up the other way, right? So again, it's all about what should happen, what shouldn't happen. For the 9th time, go watch that video I posted. You guys, it'll be very eye-opening, and it's very simplistic. It's not technical at all. All right, Bruce, I'm out of gas.
Okay, there is one question here, a very good question. I'm sorry to bypass it, Stefan. Do you use relative volume by time of day to adjust your expectations if we hit one ATR or high-low or surpass it?
Absolutely. So I keep an eye on relative volume, and there's a whole nother world that you can come up with the lugs and the volume signals if you're seeing huge volume. So, markets tend to, and here's VWAP, right? Here's what they call this, the daily value area. This is one standard deviation from VWAP. Here's 1.5, here's 2. Like I said, I'm just showing 2, right? Markets, when they come to these extreme standard deviations, if there's no real volume coming in, then the algos kick in and run it the other way. That's why I was saying a lot of times you can play these lugs if you don't even hear a setup. As long as there's no heavy volume, you can play it for a bounce. Right? I'm not doing that yet. I got enough going on with the setups. But you really want to pay attention to the relative volume, because if there is not big size coming in, we show this all the time too. Right? Remember,
This conference will
algos
now
are at least 80% of the trade, maybe more, probably more. It's probably 85, 90% of the trade, right? So if you don't see, there was one right here, there was one swipe of 4 times volume, which is a lot, right? And then you had a little bit more. But this is telling you something where this huge volume came in, right? I'm sure the footprint showed big selling. Well, we're now, actually, it'd be nice if I showed the right market for starters. Let's go down here. All right. So this was not as extreme, right? So you saw one little blip of volume where it was 2 times normal. Again, this is Sierra chart volume, showing me this exact 5-minute time period for the last 30 days. And, the volume is obviously more or less. So this showed me a little bit more than 2 times normal volume. And now we're above there. But as you saw, we kept dancing here at that extreme standard deviation, the blue lug, and look at the volume just dissipate. That means there's no big money playing right now, and then the algos just turn around and run it right back up everyone's you know what, right? And that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly why I got out of this last one, because I can just tell by the way it was trading down here, there were no setups, there was no volume, get out and just wait for another setup, right? So yes, I absolutely look at, so at relative volume, you see there was one blip in Nasdaq too, but I'll show you like a day where you want to be careful again, you know, at lugs, at other areas that you're watching. If I can, what I'm doing here. It's like, look, let's go back a few days here. Right, something like this. You see all this volume here, right? This was huge volume. I think this was Paul speaking. I actually caught, this was off a blue lug. I can show you this too. I actually caught this long in the room. It was a 50-point trade. I'll show you that here before we get off. I wasn't, you know, I did see this, but there was huge iceberg set up right here, and I took it off the blue lug. Anyway, we came down here, right? Volume was okay, and then tons of volume right here. So this could, you know, just because the volume comes in doesn't tell you anything when it's just sitting here. It's when it gets out of here is what's going to be the move, right? Because these are huge invested traders in here. Big money's playing. Someone's buying, someone's selling. This is just like a setup. Pretend this is an iceberg, right? When it gets out of here, that's what's telling you, you know, then that's the go sign. And you see, they tried to sell it. They were trying to sell it the whole speech. I'm going to show you on the lugs what it looked like. And then the minute it got above this area, bye-bye, 50 points. So lugs that day, literally this was 2 days ago, Monday, we caught this in the room. Let's see. Right here. So we came down here. Paul was talking this entire time, and I was watching it, and it tried to bust below. Now, did this. I actually got short up here. There was a short signal, and I gave it a shot. Came down, got out the blue lug. Then I was watching, and then huge bias. I think it was like 1400. Came in right there, gone. Literally straight shot. I got out of some here because it did stutter at the directional, and then I held the rest. There was no reason to get out. It blew right through the baby lug there, so I wasn't worried about that one. And then right there, and I got out. And then I actually turned around here, and I was very aggressive on the short side, so we built new lugs, right? Couldn't hold the yellow, couldn't hold the red. I should have waited for a move below the baby because it kept bouncing off the baby lug, right? So this whole area was important. I took a loss on this trade as a short, but then we had this, then I'm like, okay, I'm looking nothing but long. So do you see what I'm saying by what didn't happen? So because this didn't break, I got short, which was a good percentage trade. It should have come down here. That didn't happen. We got back above this yellow. I'm like, okay, now any signal I get, I'm going long aggressively. What do we do? Came up here. This was an 1100 lot sell stop run right off the yellow lug. The minute that got back above there, 3/4 of an ATR, I got long, and I caught it all the way up to the red lug. So hopefully you guys are seeing, again, watch the video, but you're seeing what didn't happen signals the next big move the other way, especially 100% when you get your volume signal. So I got the volume signal here, and I got it here, and I caught both of these trades. All right, Bruce. Any other questions? Out of gas, out of voice.
No, sir. Excellent. Oh, I do have one more comment I just wanted to make. Something kind of big elephant in the room here. You mentioned it multiple times, but I just want to reiterate it. Like, and then it fits in with what you've been talking about for many months. Is today or when this moving on these days, and you know, you should be plowing into it and scaling into it and making it a month making day or, you know, year, and take all these little, you know, you continue to trade, but you take the small losses, the small gains, etc. But then when you hit one out of the park, you really hit it out of the park. I mean, this is trading.
That's trading.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about it every webinar. Guys think, especially newbies, think they're going to come in here and generate a consistent profit every day. It's not going to happen. It's just not. It's just the nature of the markets. This is not a consistent income. So you do your best to control your risk, not get crushed, not overtrade, not trade too big, and you make a little, you lose a little. You make a little more, you lose a little. Make a little, lose a little, and then you catch a day like today, and you make your month. And by the end of the year, after a year's time, you'll have 4, 5, 6 days that are just monstrous, and that's going to make up the bulk of your P&L. And that's what trading is. And anybody who tells you differently is lying to you. Anyone who's telling you they're 90% and they make, they're 90% and 90% of the days they make money, they're lying to you, period. End of story. They may be able to do it for a week, maybe a month. I highly doubt a month, but it's nonsense. Trust me, if you're able to do it, I'd be doing it. It's just not possible. I did do that back in the day, but that was a whole different time period, and that's when I was flipping the market, and I was spoofing and everything else. That's when it was legal, right? So it was possible for me to generate money every day. Like for instance, 2003, I made 10 million bucks. You got to average $50,000 a day every single trading day to average 10 million bucks, and I pretty much did that. I mean, granted, I had bad days, but the majority of the time I was making money, right? That just doesn't exist anymore, guys, especially for a click trader. If you're able to make some algos and you're really tight with them and you have no input in the decision making once you let it run, then yeah, you possibly can be consistent because you're not screwing. The human element is not screwing up trades. But if you're human and you're clicking, you are not going to make a consistent income every day. It's not going to happen. So get that out of your head and try to catch the major moves and add and understand what I'm teaching you. Come to my trade room, get the course, understand how to play the setups. Once you understand that, then you can start to incorporate whatever else that you look at, or the lugs. Obviously, I highly recommend the lugs, and then you're off to the races. And then you catch an awesome day like today where you kill it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such an important point to make. So I know you're out of gas, Scott, but it's just because it freaks you out when you make like 15 grand one day, where like the majority of the days like you make like a couple thousand, you lose a couple thousand, whatever, and it's just something that traders got to get over, and got to understand it, and also not get freaked out by the numbers.
Right. Well, that's the whole point. Like guys are over trading and they're staring at their P&L and they can't
Right.
make. I mean, this is a perfect example. So if you over traded up here, or you're looking at your P&L and you thought you had it, you're like, Scott says we're coming to the blue. Oh no. Well, you just saw your P&L tick down $1,000 from where you were. You're like, oh no. Or maybe you held that one and then this one and then this one. You're like, I can't take it. I don't want to lose. I think we're going to do this. I got to get out, right? Because you're staring at your P&L instead of just trading and understanding what you should see, and you're not looking at your P&L. Trust me, I've said this many times too. When I finally took off as a trader, when I started making millions of dollars, I used to have my P&L right here, right in my face, and I can just see it ticking up 10,000, down 10,000, up 5,000, whatever, right? And then the minute I turn this off, I'm a Star Wars nerd because that's when I grew up. 77 was when I was 5. So I called this, when I finally turned this off, so if you remember Star Wars, the original Star Wars, he was about to blow up the Death Star, and Ben comes through in the Force and tells him to turn off, basically use the Force. So I said, you know what, I'm turning off the targeting computer. I'm not using that. I'm just going to trade what I see. And you will be absolutely amazed how well you'll do. Right? Again, you got to have stop limits in with your broker, and we talk about this all the time. I'm not going to get into that, but you'll be amazed if you just trade. You trade. You have a good idea right away, right? So say you shorted up here, you're like, okay, yeah, I know I'm up money here, and then you shorted here, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm up money here, and then maybe you shorted on another side. Eventually, you lose track, and then by the end of the day, when you look at that thing, you will be like, oh my God, I just had my best day ever. And you didn't even know it because you weren't paying attention to your P&L. You were paying attention to just trading properly. And you guys try it one day, a couple days, you will be absolutely amazed. You will bring up your P&L at the end of the day. Force yourself not to look at it. Put tape. Someday I used to put tape over the screen, whatever you need to do, and just don't look at it and just trade. If you know what you're doing and you have a system, obviously, not just throwing in orders. You'll bring up that thing, and I guarantee it's probably your best day ever, if not close. So that's
Yeah, and then don't give it back the rest of the month.
right. Well, See, now you, Bruce, now you're getting me going again. The other big thing is if you are killing it and you are seeing things and everything's working and you hit your daily profit level, which is the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Pardon my language, this is how upset I get about this. If you are a trader that hits a certain amount and turns off your screen, you're done. Just send me your PayPal me your cash because you're eventually going to lose all your money. Okay, that is the dumbest thing you can ever do. If you are seeing things clearly, you don't get up from the screen. I can't tell you. Here we go with the rant. When I started at King Street Trading, when I first started, I would say 3/4 of the guys in there, they get up $5,000 and they turn off their machine and they go sit in the game room and play ping pong, and we had like the stand-up video game. That's what they would do. And I was sitting there like, wait a minute, you just made $5,000. It's 9:45. Why aren't you sitting there? And you're obviously things are clicking. Why aren't you sitting there and make another $5,000? Make another $5,000. Like what are you doing? And guess what? All those guys, those were the first guys booted out of the firm. When they started losing, they blew out because they didn't have the huge days. They quit when they were up $5,000, and then they started having $5,000 losing days, $5,000, $10,000 losing days. It makes no sense. There's other times where, like Monday, ask my room. Actually, it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Things just were. It was choppy. It was low volume. Things were not making sense. You're going to have days like that. That's when you turn off your computer and you say, you hit your limit for the day. I'm done. There's always another day. So on that last point, it doesn't mean, so say you go up $5,000, right? Whatever your amount is that you normally would turn off your computer like an idiot and not take advantage of when you're seeing things clearly. There's nothing wrong with saying, okay, if I give back 30%, 20%, whatever percentage you want. So I'm up 5. If I give back 20%, if I lose $1,000 back, then I'm done for the day. I'm perfectly fine with that, right? Because you had a losing trade. Something changed. You didn't see something clearly. Fine. Then you're done. You're not done when you make $5,000. Make 10, make 20, make 50, make 100. Like that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Just like when guys use stops and trailing stops that have nothing to do with structure, that only have to do with because you don't want to lose money back. So I can go down this rabbit hole for the next hour. So you guys have all heard it before if you've been on the webinars. But I mean,
sorry to solicit the rant, but it was well worth it. It was well worth it because it really is an important part, and so important. And here's a winning day, and to have the expectations that there are going to be winning days like this, that just you knock it out of the park. I mean, like you said, this should be like 3 times more in terms of P&L, but like
it's just hard on the webinars.
It is
bouncing between markets, and then it's like I lose my questions. Right. So it's it is what it is. It's still a good day, but I showed you where you can been adding, and this could be a monster day.
Right.
So as far as that, before we pop off, this did get an ATR below there, but it did get above, and you could have just said, screw it, I'm getting long, and you got 50 points in your pocket, right? Again, this is the science, the setups, how you trade them are different. You may say, what, Scott, I don't care that we went an ATR below here, and it barely went an ATR below here. It wasn't like it went, very far below here. It was just over an ATR, right? For me, that negates this as a bullish setup. For you may say, what, we're still at the blue lug. We didn't draw new lugs. We get above here, I'm giving this a shot. I'm just going to risk just below the zone, and you got 50 points the other way. Right? All right, guys. So hopefully this is informative. Bruce, did you tape this, by the way, or are these being recorded or no?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. If you can send me that, because I think I'm going to post this one. I think this was a good one as far as not only trading. It's not about the the profit. It's about a lot of lessons in this. You guys serve yourself well to go back and watch this video.
Yeah, I'll post it on our selected webinars.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Hopefully you learned something. Worst case scenario, go to Ludwig Levels, try them out. It's a free trial for 3 days. Try them out and see watch the video, try them out. You guys will be blown away. I can promise you. Remember that video was made last May and everything is still exactly like we talked about. It's pretty unbelievable, to tell you the truth. All right, guys.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Excellent webinar, and we will see you next Thursday.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.
The broad